roll call. Nancy Lycona,
Here.
Eleanor Evans,
Present.
Stacy Began,
Present.
Mike Blessing,
Present.
Raquel Alvarez, present. We're all here. Geez, where am I? I don't even know where I'm at. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please stand. Your hands over your hearts. Ready? Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public report of action taken in closed session. There was none. We're going to start with our student representatives. We will start with Ella Lopez from Jefferson Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Peñalar. I'm the principal of Jefferson Middle School. Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, Dr. Vitale. Proud to introduce Falcon Scholar, percussionist, and ASB president, Miss Ella Lopez.
Hey.
As you may know, this semester has just ended. In the principal's list, 101 students qualified for the principal's list with a 3.5 GPA and above, and no U's. Phenomenal Falcons. One student qualified for the Phenomenal Falcons Award for Outstanding Citizenship, Brian Ramon Rodriguez. Perfect attendance. 27 students qualified for a Perfect Attendance Award with 0 absences during the first semester. Falcon Rising and Outstanding Falcon. Each teacher selected 2 for the Falcon Rising Awards, which show growth in academics or citizenship. 10 students were selected as Outstanding Falcon athletes or outstanding performers, showing outstanding achievements and performance in either or athletics or VAPA classes. Jefferson Spirit. JMS has an active wellness center. Students, staff, and families can get resources such as Vision to Learn, referrals for free eye screening, exams and glasses if students qualify, Promise Leadership Program, morning program, Boys and Girls Club after school program, Oceanside Reads. Family can get support with obtaining a GED, citizenship, job search, and more. Lived experiences coming soon. Heavy Breathing Foundation coming soon. Pronto free bus rides for students.
Thank you, Ella. We will now have Bella Moreno from Surfside Academy, please.
All right. Good evening, Board President Dr. Vegan, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Vitale. I'm Isabella Moreno from Surfside's Independent Study Program, and I'm excited to share some updates on what's going on at Surfside with you. December and January Rising Star. A special congratulations to our December Rising Star student, Tula Martinez, and January student, Jennifer Castro. Thank you for sharing your moving stories. Surfside's very proud of you. Annual SEA Pop-Up Shop, Holiday Raffle. Every day, the last week before winter break, Surfside drew 5 to 7 raffle tickets for cool gifts. The students earned tickets for demonstrating Surfside's core values. The elementary students took 4 out of the 7 gifts, and secondary students won the iPad and Starbucks cards. Nicely done. Donations from Assistance League. A special thank you to the Assistance League for donating blankets, sweatshirts, socks, and more to Surfside. Lydia was a tough girl with her finger injury. With a good throw blanket, she'll recover in comfort. Teen Parent Holiday Party. Thanks to our Child Development Center team, the parents and babies enjoyed a little holiday cheer and a surprise visit from Santa Hannah. At the party, families had the opportunity to sign up for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, receive flyers for our Dream It, Be It career workshop hosted by the Oceanside, Carlsbad, Optimists, participate in the Baby Storytime hosted by the Oceanside Public Library, take family photos with Santa, and receive wonderful gifts from the Oceanside Generations Church. Volleyball Tournament Champions. Well, our end of quarter volleyball tournament came to an exciting end on our Spirit Week Pajama Day as the Snowy Snowmen took first place and Double Trouble came in second, defeating the staff and claiming their title as champions. Our staff holiday party. Surfside has the greatest vibe around. After school on the last Friday before holiday break, the staff ate treats, laughed, and enjoyed a white elephant exchange. Principal Franzen shared that I am so grateful for my Surfside staff and students. Surfside basketball. Last Thursday, Surfside's basketball team had their first game of the season against Twin Oaks and won 41-24. Coach Donald and Pow Pow shared the team is ready to go undefeated and accepting all challenges. Grad walk ceremony. Congratulations to the Surfside students who completed their grad requirements this quarter. Graduates were serenaded by our elementary student choir named Surfside Sound Waves. The program is now being expanded to include middle school and high school participation after our graduates strutted down the grad walk to cheers from staff and family. Then finally, ring that bell. Lots of cheers, grins, and hugs. Thank you for listening and have a happy new year.
Next, we will have Natalia Sudak and Brenda Martinez from OHS.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Dr. Vitale, and staff. My name is Natalia Sudak, and I'm ASB Vice President. And I'm here representing Oceanside High School. What's new with our school is we had the track and field preseason starts. We had our snowball court vote at lunch. We also had the Gnaw Your Average Cinderella Story show coming up. We also started tutoring for morning and after school. This is our flyer for the Gnaw Your Average Cinderella Story. And then our OHS staff worked hard on our Greek language lesson presented by Mr. Catechis in preparation for the upcoming 4x4 block schedule. Here is our OHS ROTC that had a Sweetwater drill competition. And now I would like to give a congratulations to our graduating seniors that have submitted our financial aid applications, and I would also like to give a congratulations to basketball player Nevaeh for scoring the 100,000 points in one season. Also, a congratulations to boys freshmen in basketball and boys basketball and boys varsity soccer. Another congratulations to Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Fogg for earning the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science. Some upcoming events that we have is the Black Expo, and we also have our Snow Disco Ball. So we have the No Hate Assembly, and finally we have our German exchange students visiting Oceanside campus. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Natalia. Now we'll ask for Natalie Lopez from El Camino.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to Board President Dr. Begin and the rest of the board members and Superintendent Dr. Vitale and her executive staff for giving me the time to speak. My name is Natalie Lopez, and I'm the ASB President at El Camino High School. This past month around campus, students have worked together in Miss King's Earth Science class to work on a density lab. Students were also completing their ceramics projects in Mr. Casilla's class. Miss Teresa Colas surprised Mr. Greg Guayante, an OUSD teacher at El Camino High School for 24 years, with a nomination for the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching. Our winter sports have been representing EC all this month. Our girls' varsity water polo team has been having a fantastic season. They are currently 2-0 in league and 11-13 overall. On January 3rd, they made history by beating Carlsbad for the first time, winning ever 6-5. Our boys' varsity basketball team has also been having a great season and are currently 13-5 overall. And recently, our CIF competitive cheer team won CIF championships for the 3rd year in a row. Some of El Camino's upcoming events include our winter formal dance this February, a winter pep rally, sports intramurals such as March Madness and Ultimate Frisbee, and prom and grad night for our seniors. Thank you all so much for giving me this time to present, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Natalie. Now we'll go on to the superintendent's report, please.
Great, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. We're excited to start another great year, 2023. And we started by going and attending the NAACP Community Prayer Breakfast, where our own Eleanor Evans was a finalist for the Community Service Award. So congratulations on that, Eleanor Evans. We were also very excited to attend the Rising Star ceremony this morning with our inspirational students, Jennifer Castro from Surfside, Nadia Arroyo from OHS, and Ashley Safoyo from El Camino High School. The stories that the kids share are also very powerful and remind us just how important the work we do is. And I just want to point out to the board on this agenda, you're going to be approving just over $1.1 million that your staff has brought in through various grants and going above and beyond to bring money into the school district, from our workforce development grant to upgrades for our plumbing systems to meet current efficiency standards. So I just want to thank the staff that worked on those projects for continuing to find ways to bring additional funding into the district. And that is what I have.
One more thing, I'm sorry. We need to get the approval of the agenda. I'm gonna call for a vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a first, I have a second. I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving the items on the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. I have a 5-0. I will go with board reports. We'll start with Nancy.
Thank you. I did get to attend the NAACP Community Prayer Breakfast, and it was just humbling to be a part of a community that is serving others. And especially in North County, there's a lot of people who are doing great work to serve our community and our students. And so I was very humbled to attend that prayer breakfast. And I also want to welcome Maria Alshama, who's not here today, but she is our first district social worker who's hired. And so I'm a school counselor, and I got to work with her very closely in Vista Unified, and Oceanside is very lucky to have her. And so I am very excited for the direction that Oceanside is taking to put mental health at the forefront and ensuring that our students have those supports that they need to be successful. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Eleanor?
Thank you. May I have a point of personal privilege before I start, please? Okay.
Move the mic closer, would you?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission for the County of San Diego will have its first town hall meeting on January 28th from 1 to 3. And we're inviting everyone from the Oceanside, North County, Vista, every city to attend the meeting. It's an opportunity for you to share your concerns in regards to county government. And even though you may say, well, how does that relate to education? Very much so, since human relations is focusing on education in the entire county, okay? So please plan to attend January 28th, 1 to 3, the Oceanside Downtown Library, all right? And I too would like to congratulate the students who participated in the Rising Star program that's sponsored by the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. It is an excellent program. It's an opportunity for students to earn a scholarship. And what's unique about this, we always think of the shining star getting the scholarships, but these are students who had to overcome some sort of difficulty in terms of being able to share their experience and being able to achieve. So it's really, really, I always weep when I go there. I'll put it like that. I'm so proud of our students. They do so much at every level. I'd like to thank the community people in the community who sponsored me, who supported me in terms of the Martin Luther King Community Service Award. And it's an honor just to be recognized, okay? Moving on. I attended CSBA, breakdown of the governor's budget, and by now you know that the governor is saying that we're $22.5 billion in debt as a deficit, and I'm like everyone else. Well, what happened to all the money we had? But basically, what he plans to do is use the reserve, which is about $35.6 billion, to balance the budget as the state moves forward. Okay, the NCOEE conference was a tremendous success. And again, I'd like to thank the district for supporting that. You guys are just fantastic. Moving on, the California School Board Delegate Assembly, we adopted a platform of 4 pillars, and I've already bragged about this. But the 4th pillar I wrote, and they adopted it. So I love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, all right. And by now, you know I'm a phenomenal writer. Maybe not that great a speaker, but a phenomenal writer. Okay, all right. And I was not here, and I do apologize. I was under the weather, but I do want to say that to give props to the Ethnic Studies Department. We did go to Cal State University San Marcos, and they were extremely impressed with the work we've done in terms of ethnic studies. And actually, we should probably go to the state, Sacramento, and present our ethnic studies, because we're so far ahead of the state in terms of what they're saying and what they want for ethnic studies. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mike?
No report.
All right, I have some really good news. So in case you guys don't know, my board colleagues or the audience, Oceanside is in the forefront of supporting teachers that go through national board certification. And this process is the top certification a teacher can get in the United States. It's nationally recognized. It consists of a grueling assessment on your content area, and it also has this huge portfolio that teachers have to put together. And the whole point of going through national board certification for these teachers that are dedicated to their students is to really show that they know their subject and their grade level, and they know how to teach it. They know how to use assessments to drive their instruction. They know how to take their curriculum and make it meet the needs of the students in their classroom. we have 2 new national board certified teachers that I would love to introduce. And we also have 5 national board certified teachers that actually took the time to recertify and to continue their national board certification. So I'm going to call you guys up if that's okay, because I want to give you guys a big round of applause. If you guys would come up and then introduce yourself and tell us where you work and what area you certified in or recertified in, that would be awesome. And then Donald wants to take a picture because this is a huge deal. So I'm going to call your name, and if you guys want to give him a round of applause, that would be amazing. So I'm going to start with North Terrace has the 2 new national board certified teachers. So awesome. So Lydia Meza, come on up. Come on, and Jessica Frank.
My name is Lydia Mesa Magallanes, and I am a kindergarten teacher, the best grade ever in at North Terrace TK K-8 school, and it's an honor and a privilege to teach on a military-connected community and also get to serve our Oceanside community. So being at North Terrace is the best of the best. And I certified in early childhood.
Hi, my name is Jessica Frank, and I certified in early and middle childhood music. I also work at North Terrace, Santa Margarita, Stuart Mesa. I teach 4th through 8th grade band. So just like Lydia said, it is an honor to work with our military families and get to experience that. And I want to thank Dr. Begin for reading my whole entire portfolio and helping me along this journey.
I now know what a music teacher does. Yikes. Yikes. All right, let's give her a hand. If you guys would stay up there, I'm going to call so to recertify, this means they went through the original grueling process that these 2 young ladies went through, and they did it again. They did a big chunk of it again, so that's how dedicated they are to their students. So if you guys would come up, Scott, they're all from El Camino High School, by the way, so that makes it easy. Scott Frazier, Gregory Gigante, Stephen Roeder, Aaron Frazier, and Armand. I'm going to make Armanto.
So I am Scott Fraser. I teach at El Camino High School. I teach mathematics, and my certification was in AYA mathematics, which is adolescent youth and young adult. There you go, mathematics.
My name's Gregory Wyante, or Greg Wyante, El Camino High School, mathematics, AYA also.
Aaron Fraser, also AYA mathematics at El Camino.
I'm Steve Roeder, also AYA mathematics at El Camino.
Sorry, my wife said I had to get a picture. So my name is Armin Amaranto. I also teach at El Camino High School. Mine is also AYA, but science and physics, but I teach math right now.
Amazing. All right, thank you for all that hard work. If you guys want to stand up here and get a picture, that would be awesome. And we do have over 17 other teachers in our district currently working towards this certification, so it's super impressive. All right, that's my board report. Thank you, you guys. I'll be bringing you lunch and little lapel pins.
Congratulations to you all, especially to doing math again. Why? Why you would do that and torture yourself, I don't know. My board report, I was able to attend the Rising Star Chamber of Commerce event this morning, which is amazing, listening to our students and their stories. Again, thank you to our staff who supports our students through their processes of just going through life itself. It's hard enough just being a teenager, but then everything in the world that's going on, it just adds, I think, a ton to it. So thank you to all that support them. I was able to also attend the MLK celebration, seeing some of our students and hearing our students and the gifts that they have. Even in that, one of our students from North Terrace was able to be there and give an interpretation of dance. And so she was just amazing, and seeing, you know, the love of her art that she has. And I went to a Parks and Rec meeting here in Oceanside, just trying to find out like what we have and what spaces we have for our students to be able to go and do the sports that they want to be doing, or just being able to have that safe space. So just kind of just having that ear just to what's going on and what's going on out there for our students, and what we can do to be able to get our students connected differently so that they're not going down a wrong path, and what spaces we have that to do that in. So we just went to that. Also went to, I think I already discussed the Holiday of Hope and what we did with that, but that was just amazing, and just to recover that again. Just the support that's done for our students by TC, which is Transformational Consultants, and the support that they give by the mentoring they give for our students is huge to our families, because it's not just a particular student, it's to our students as a whole in our different school sites. So just want to applaud them and the work that they do. And from that, we will move on to our CSBA Chapter 370 report. I don't see Dora. No, I don't see Dora. Then we will have Tiffany from ODA.
Have to find it. Awesome. Good evening, President Alvarez, trustees, Dr. Vitale, cabinet, community members, and colleagues. I am Tiffany Cooper Ortega, and I'm proud to represent the members of the Oceanside Teachers Association as their president. Next slide, please. Thank you. It's been a short month. So ODA leadership has collaborated at the district level with human resources, educational support services, SPED caseloads, personnel support, and a little bit of calendar committee follow-up. Next slide. So moving right on to my favorite part. On the day after celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I wanted to spotlight not only a colleague from our MLK Junior Middle School, but also someone who is an expert and advocate for restorative practice and justice. Meet Laura Evinger. Mrs. Evinger has been in education for more than 20 years, including working as an instructional aide for severely handicapped for 15 years in the adult transition program in San Marcos. She taught kindergarten, and she's now teaching 7th grade ELA and history. She also serves as ODA's middle school member at large. I asked Mrs. Evinger why restorative practice, because she is very passionate about it. And in her words, and I edited some, she has lots of good words. In today's society, with the ever-changing dynamic of the American family, our students need more support and connection to their classroom peers and teachers than ever before. Restorative practices are the most efficient way she has found to create healthy relationships between not only herself and her students, but student to student. Next slide, please. Mrs. Evinger begins the year by taking the time in the first weeks of the school year to focus on the use of daily check-ins, simple circles, and community building activities. This has helped her create classroom communities where students feel safe, they feel seen, and they have a voice, and they respect one another, as well as adhere to campus and classroom norms. In the 7 years since she started restorative practice, she's seen a 99% reduction in behavior in her classes. That's amazing. At middle school. At this point in the year, her daily check-ins take less than 2 minutes, and they allow her to gauge students' moods and well-being, as well as allow her to check in further and refer to counseling students who check in low repeatedly. Next slide, please. At MLK, they've also established a dedicated time for student mediations. Students are referred to the zone for problems navigating social situations. Students work in small group restorative circles in the zone that Mrs. Evinger facilitates. Students are given the chance to speak to their particular situation or problem, while the other students involved actively listen. After working through the situation, the parties create an agreement detailing how they will move forward and coexist peacefully or repair the possible harm that they may have caused to their school community or their friendships. Students who are referred to the zone understand, and this is the important part, that the restorative circle takes the place of a standard consequence. And if they violate the agreement they make in the zone, then those standard consequences will be applied. And it's working. There have also been cases where students have reached out to enter the zone independently without referral in order to address a situation before it grows out of control. Next slide, please. All of this to say, we would love to see widespread equitable access and implementation of restorative practice throughout the district. Using these tenets, implementation for restorative practice has to be concerted, consistent, and deep. Surface level training has left many colleagues without a clear understanding of the practice and the feeling that restorative practice is simply a no consequence behavior system. We ask that if OUSD is truly committed to restorative practice and justice, then the training of all certificated staff must be a priority. Restorative practice cannot happen with a referral in the office. This is an everyday, every moment movement. Teachers must have the skills, techniques, and grace to fully implement a robust wraparound restorative practice in their classroom and on their campus. Because when teachers break down the barriers that divide kids by providing them with commonalities to bring them together, they're building community. When teachers build relationships between peers that keep students from feeling isolated, then they're ensuring social well-being. And when teachers model restorative practice that supports active listening, they are giving our students the skills they'll need to talk through their own social issues. This cannot be achieved by a few administrators and teachers doing these things sometimes with varying degrees of fidelity of implementation. It needs to be all of the educational community all in. This can only happen with full support and investment of OUSD's leadership. Teachers are hungry for the actual practice of restorative practice and not just the title. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Tiffany. We will move on to the consent items. Do I hear a motion to approve items on the general consent?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a first and I have a second. All in favor? All in,
Public comment.
oh, we do have. We have public comment. Thank you.
Todd will be speaking on items A through M, item P, item R, T, V, Y, Z, double A, and then when you get to double C, you have another person that's going to also speak.
Okay, so should I just stay here then until that time comes?
It's your meeting, huh?
Okay. Apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah. So, shall I start? Okay. So anyway, so as always, great job on the minutes. You know, I love that. Appreciate the feedback from Mike on the sale of surplus equipment last meeting too as well. Not reflected in the minutes, but I don't know if it's supposed to be. It's good to see the documentation of the vote on the new agreement with ODA showing the 4-0 vote, item 7D. As always, our board votes to give millions taken from kids to adults. It's great to see the minutes reflecting our board's unanimous in that. Ditto for item 7E, approving salary schedule, giving bonus raises to certificated employees with a median total compensation of $122,560 a year. Again, a unanimous vote documented there. Before we jump there, from there we jump to item 8C, another unanimous vote documented, this time on the first interim budget report. Lastly, item 10, public comments on non-agenda items. Sometimes we get a quick summary of what was said, but we didn't get that this time. I don't know if there's a change in process. I haven't really been keeping an eye on the minutes to see. But overall, just an excellent job by Ann and the staff documenting our board meetings. We greatly appreciate that. You're going to be hearing me a lot tonight, as you just heard, and that's because I can't seem to get an answer from Ms. Vitale or Dr. Benz on how to put a presentation together for this meeting. I've sent 8 emails, including a CC to Mr. Blessing, who could have taken it into his hands to prevent this from happening, but I haven't seen that. So I'm going to be speaking. I tried to fit 8,000 words into here, but I couldn't quite do it because a slide is worth 1,000 words. So anyway, that's it for item A. Yeah. I won't be hitting 3 minutes on any of these. We good? All right, thank you. So acceptance of gifts to the district. I think it's great that people want to give us gifts. It's an awesome thing. I wish more people would do that. Particularly, I see on here we're getting some ice cream cone gift cards. I'm sure that the kids will appreciate that. Starbucks gift cards. I know my daughters really appreciate those Starbucks gift cards. Interesting, 216 pairs of children's socks. That's kind of an interesting gift. Hopefully that'll be appreciated. I love the $500 grant from the National Foundation for Autism Research. Of course, more gift cards as well. I think we should do whatever we can to encourage people to continue to gift things to Oceanside Unified. Thank you. All right, so certificated personnel, item C. So we have a total FTE of 942.8 per the budget last year. That means our annualized voluntary turnover is 5.59% so far this year, which is about 1/3 of the private industry average. As you all know, we tend to keep people. Good job hiring, 77 new teachers I see we've hired this year. That's tremendously awesome as well. Retirements are fairly low, only 10 or so, perhaps more at the end of the year. It tends to happen. Overall hiring is happening at over double the rate of departures, which seems to say something about this supposed lack of teachers out there to hire. For hiring twice as many as are quitting. So we don't seem to have any problem attracting and retaining employees, which is great. It says something about Oceanside being a good place to work, despite the fact that that's often used as an excuse for bonus raises. But hopefully we can continue and keep that good thing going. Thank you. Item D, classified personnel. Congratulations to Lydia Smith on her promotion. She was my contact for doing board presentations in the past when she was in charge of that. That's who I emailed originally to ask how to do this, and that started the trail of lack of response. I don't know what happened. Maybe she's in a different position. I won't blame it on her, but that's just where we started this point. Total FTE here, 756.2, annualized voluntary turnover, 15.55% this year. That's more normal to private industry, as Dr. McAteer probably knows. New hires are not quite keeping up with departures. You know, I see you've got more people leaving than you're hiring, which would seem to mean classified staff is harder to find and hire than teachers from those numbers. So, thank you. The Uniform Complaint Quarterly, the Williams Report, zeros all the way across. You can't beat that. It's an awesome thing. For anybody who's not familiar with the Williams situation, it was a case that was filed as a class action in 2000 at San Francisco County Superior Court. 100 San Francisco County students were plaintiffs, filed suit against the state of California, including the CDE. Basis of the lawsuit was agencies failed to provide public school students with equal access to instructional materials, safe and decent school facilities, and qualified teachers. Settled in 2004. As a result of that, we have the process we have now where we have to report this in quarterly reports to the board. So I think that's overall just a good thing, and it's great to see that there's zeros for Oceanside Unified. Thank you guys for that. Next. Okay, the ratification of the warrant list. That's an interesting one. I see we have $440,000 to the city of Oceanside for security. That seems like an awesome use of money. You know, we all want our kids to be secure, and I'm glad to see the district is keeping up with that. I see the expenses for routine maintenance. That's awesome as well. You know, we do need to keep up on the routine maintenance. We have $39K to Charles Doherty for ground maintenance, $100K to ACO Engineering, equipment repair, $190K to waste management for disposal. Those all seem pretty reasonable. It's interesting to see another $352K in ESSER funds going to computers and iPads. I thought we were done putting money into those things with the ESSER funding that we spent last year, but maybe there's some new thing happening there. Quite a bit of funding being put into special ed services, which I think is also great. Close to $1 million. I think we should be providing good services to those kids, and I'm glad to see it happening. interesting, of regular payments to Orange County Department of Education employees is $150 each for 9 different employees. It'd be interesting to know what the story is there. I'm not sure how they're involved with us, but I'm sure it's legitimate and reasonable. Thank you. So the resolution on the plumbing, item G, I see we're assessing our plumbing fixtures for water-wise usage. Of course, that's really important these days, maybe not so much in the last couple of weeks, but normally here in Southern California, of course, we need to meet water efficiency standard. There are 519 that need replacement of 15% of the district's fixtures. It kind of surprises me it's that low, because I would expect, given the age of some of our equipment, that we wouldn't have that many that already qualified, but maybe somebody's been keeping track of that and operating them as needed in the past. So it's good to see that we're going to spend $1.2 million in grant funds to do that sort of thing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Item H, proposed, item H is the mitigation trust for the bus replacement program. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, it's a great deal, $2 million for electric buses. You know, I think that it would be nice to replace the old fleet with electric buses. I don't know if we're looking at the thing that I think Cajon Valley did, where they're feeding back electricity into the grid from their bus fleet as needed in the future. But I think it's Cajon Valley, but I'm not sure. So it's good to see that. I don't know if they say there's an immediate need to replace them. I'm not quite sure if our old buses are breaking down or not, but I see that has something to do with greenhouse gas emissions. So anything that we can do to transition is a good thing. So thank you on that. Item I, I'm just going to skip item I and J and basically say thanks for settling or not settling the claims as needed, so we can jump straight to K.
Thank you.
So K, this is the concrete work at Fusat. I don't know exactly what that was, but concrete work seems like a kind of a heavy-duty thing to do, and I'm glad we're doing it. Total cost was $40,000. That's probably reasonable. I don't know exactly what they're doing there, but thanks for keeping up on the maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item L. So this is kind of interesting, the soft choice thing. Somebody did a really good deal here. They're getting for the 1,199 users. The cost of that is $52 for each user for like full-on Windows OS and Office installs. That is like a smoking hot deal. Somebody worked out just an awesome deal on that. I'd like to say thank you very much. I've never seen $52 a user before on Microsoft software, so that's a good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mulching, item M, mulching. $28,000. It looks like Agri-Service is doing that. The only reason I brought this up is because I get mulch from Agri-Service. It's free for Oceanside residents. I don't know if everybody knows that. I don't know if this is a special deal for schools or not, but it's a pretty awesome thing that they provide their service to everybody to get mulch and compost from them. Thank you. Gourmet pizza, item P. So I got to tell you, I can't believe that Pizza Day is not the highlight of most kids' lunch experience at our schools. Pizza Day has got to be awesome. We have a daughter who I think came from an alien planet. She doesn't like pizza, but that's not normal, I'm sure. But thanks for picking out good crusts. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, item R, the RFP for architectural services. This is a $2.7 million expense, second largest expense in this section. So I'm wondering though, when we build a new building like this, do we get any of the kids involved to learn about the construction? It just seems like since we're on CTE pathways here, we should take advantage of some of the building and construction that's going on in the district and perhaps get the kids involved if we're not doing that. You know, this is for demolition, I think it is, demolition and replacement. So, you know, I don't know, give them a hard hat and a sledgehammer. Seems like it'd be a lot of fun for some kids. So, thank you.
Dangerous, actually.
Could be. It was supervised. You can do that. So, item T, approval for HVAC. This is great. I'm glad to see we're able to use ESSER funds for this. I'm sure it's a well-needed upgrade. Although I have to say, you know, with the generally poor academic performance we've seen, I'm not sure we should not be spending 100% of our ESSER funds on things that improve academics in our district. But if we're going to do it with something else with it, HVAC is a good thing. Thank you. Item V, so approval of purchase of synthetic turf. So this is the largest single expense in this section, $2.8 million for new artificial turf. I don't know what the split is between bonds, ESSER, and general funds, but I'd have a hard time seeing how this has anything to do with remediating learning loss. But more importantly, I don't know if our district or board is aware of the possible connection between rubber crumbs that tend to shed from artificial turf and cancers. I personally have a nephew who's on his third round of cancer treatment. He was a goalie at a school that had artificial turf in it. My sister-in-law is actually one of the spearheads of the anti-artificial turf movement. They've done a bunch of studies, inconclusive, of course, but of course the rubber crumbs that shed from the artificial turf tend to have cancer-causing agents in them, so there's some suspicion. It tends to be goalies for some reason in the studies that they've done in soccer. Fortunately, he's doing a lot better right now, just graduated from Georgia Tech, but hopefully you won't see a recurrence. It's also a good thing to reduce water usage, but you know, I'm not quite sure if we want to sacrifice the well-being of our kids without proper validation. If you want to Google CNN and artificial turf cancer study, you'll come up with some information on that. Thank you. All right, the ESSER 3 expenditure plan, item Y. It's kind of amazing to find in the consent calendar, given that it involves spending $28 million. But I understand this is just an update of a plan already discussed, so in place. So that must be why it's buried in here. We've seen some of this money being spent on prior items here on things in this agenda that may be a bit questionable in their relationship to addressing learning loss. I understand they're all allowable expenses. I'm not intimating that I think anybody's doing anything wrong with the money, but it just seems like we should focus on academics and improving the education of our kids rather than some of these other things that seem to be fulfillment of everyone's longstanding wish list. So, thank you. Item Z, approve correction to the amount of approval for purchase of electric car kit. The only thing to say on this one is I think it's a great idea. I think with the electric cars out there and becoming more and more frequent, I think we should put more into our CTE pathways to help kids learn how to fix those things before they're out there breaking down. Thank you. Out-of-state field trip, AA, item AA. So I love these things. I've said it before at these meetings. I don't think there's any better way we can impress our kids on things than these field trips to go to different places. Washington, D.C. is an awesome place. It's a great place to visit, show them government in action. I hope part of the prep work for this is to actually read the Constitution and understand its purpose is to provide limits to government's power, not enable it. But other than that, I think this is a great idea. Let's take them to D.C. All right, so ProCare therapy. This one is interesting because they're talking about filling in when caseloads become unmanageable in the IEP process. I assume
What
that's,
item is this? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, item DD.
EE?
DD. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Item, a speaker on
Oh,
item
sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot. Okay.
All right, so I guess there is a conference in Philadelphia. It's called Spreading Love and Supporting All Children. And it is a conference that is designed to catalyze collaboration, action, and a renewed commitment to transforming our practices, partnerships, and systems. Community schools, family engagement. So we're going to pay a lot of money to send a couple of school officials to go to the tune of $9,672, but I don't understand why we're spending money on these conferences when you don't listen to families. I mean, it talks about family and community support. We've been coming to these meetings for 2 years. Todd Madison has been coming for the last 14 years. And the fact that you guys didn't even bother to answer his email, that's pretty rude and disrespectful. And when he stood up here, I looked at all of you guys and you weren't even looking at him. I think maybe Mike was looking at him.
Ma'am, will you please stay on topic, Rose? Thank you.
Okay, well, that is my point, is that this school district shows a lot of disrespect to the parents and the community. So why are we spending money on this conference, thousands of dollars, to try to spread love and support for our children? Also want to address the little child, Anthony Jaquez, that came up that was bullied and he had broken bones. I want to know what happened with that child, because
We're
you guys.
Gonna ask Rose. We're going to ask again that you would stay on topic. This is on CC. So what the
Yes,
description
that
and
is
what
on
it
topic. I am talking about supporting all of our children.
This
That's
is
the
about
name
the
of the
conference
conference.
itself. This is about the conference itself. So if it's
Mhm.
about the conference, then yes, you can discuss that part of it.
Okay, well, I'm wondering, why are we going to these conferences if we're not supporting all of our kids, all of the kids that are getting bullied and harassed? And that child was beaten up, had broken bones, was sent to the
Again,
emergency
Rose, I'm going to
room,
ask you again.
and nothing
you
was
again.
done to
Please
help that
stay on
child.
topic.
So I think that is staying on topic. All right, that's all for that one.
Todd Madison, item DD.
All right. So item DT, this is the ProCare therapy thing. This is what I was just talking about, the special education and such. I've probably said most of what I need to say, but I just appreciate the focus on special education for our school district and the fact that they're bringing in outside experts. I'd like to see us hire more special education teachers so we don't have that unmanageable class caseloads. I think we should decrease the caseload for special education teachers and make it work better for everyone rather than hiring an outside company. So thank you. Do I break for anybody else, Ann, or?
You and Rose.
Okay. EE. So this is the special education specialists. This is kind of an interesting one, just that I assume there's some need to send 4 people to Georgia for 4 days to do an evaluation of a student. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. But from a layperson's perspective, it seems like a heck of a lot of resources going away from OUSD for quite a while for that one thing. I trust, however, that there's some good reason for it. Thank you.
My concern was also, why are we sending 4 specialists to investigate or check up on one child? And I know I talked about this special ed student before. Why are we sending one student all the way to Georgia? As a parent, I would be very, very concerned to have my child many, many states away. Who is her advocate that's checking up on her on a daily basis? I mean, that's pretty scary to send a child so far away that cannot defend themselves. Who's advocating for her? That's what I want to know. Or him.
President Alvarez, I'd like to ask Dr. Mercedes Lovey to explain this item. It's very important for people to understand how we are taking care of students in this manner. Dr. Lovey, do you mind speaking about this item, please?
No, thank you, Dr. Vitale. as we know, we have students of all differing abilities and in our school district and in our state. The national government decided that we needed to make sure that all students are served with a free and appropriate public education. And because of that, we have public schools. Not all students are able to be served within the confines of our public school system. So there are specialized schools throughout the state, throughout the country, that are specially staffed, trained, and with special facilities for students who have extraordinary needs. These students are only placed in these different schools based on an IEP team, which includes the parents, it includes the educators, and it includes, generally speaking, some legal advocates as well on both sides. In this particular case, this student was unable to have their needs met in schools in California. The only school that we were able to find that would meet this particular student's needs was in Georgia. We also share the concern that when a student is so far away that we are making sure that we are providing good due diligence to be their advocate, they're facilitating their education, and that we continue to evaluate their progress so that as the child improves, when they can improve, they could be brought back into our general education back here to Oceanside. In order to do that, we do not want to take that responsibility and give it to someone else. We trust our own employees, our own experts, our own California educators. So we believe that the safety, health, well-being, and educational rights of that student are best served by sending our own personnel to Georgia to make sure that we can, or wherever this school might be for another student, to make sure that that child is being cared for properly, that they're making adequate educational, social, emotional, and therapeutic progress, so that hopefully the child can come home again. This is only done with full parent consent and actually in many cases parents' advocacy because they know their child needs something more than what we can offer here in our local public schools.
Thank you, Dr. Levy.
Todd Madison and then Rose.
Oh, this is the Alaska conference for DODEA. So in this, just my condolences to anyone going to Fairbanks in February for this conference. I just visited Minnesota. It was 11 below and we went sledding. Alaska is beautiful, but it's very dark and very cold that time of year. My condolences to whoever has to go. Gigi? Oh, Rose. Are you up for that?
Yes. So I wanted to find out about the state preschool, whether or not the COVID vaccination was required for these wee little ones. And if so, why?
We're on GG, acceptance of the round 5 K-12 Strong Workforce Grant Award.
F.
Which is what I did, the state preschool.
Alaska trip.
I have state preschool.
Circled F, but go ahead and speak to G, and then we'll have Todd come up after you.
Oh, I don't have GG. I have the state preschool, whatever that was.
That's H. That's HH.
Oh, H.
Madison, you're up for G.
Oh, okay. Well, that was it for HH. I just wrote it down wrong. Basically, I want to know if the preschoolers are required to have the COVID vaccination to enter into the school program, and if so, why?
No student is required to have COVID vaccination for entrance into California public schools at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Levy. Okay, now we're on GG.
All right. Thank you. Back on track. This is the workforce grant, strong workforce grant. I love the focus on improving career pathways. We've already talked about this a little bit. Of course, I think that, I don't know what the percentage is now of kids in Oceanside that don't go on to college and career, but last time I looked at that, it was the majority. Several years ago, maybe it's changed. But we need to make sure we're spending as much time providing them with the tools they need in the future as we do for kids that are on track for college. So I appreciate your efforts to make that happen. Thank you.
That's consent.
HH, that's it for this section. So this is just the California preschool thing. We just discussed a little bit, but just another thing. I think that this is great to be supporting eligible families in this, that for preschool services, that we've gotten funding for that. I think that's another great thing that the district does for its parents and for the kids that need that sort of thing. Thank you very much.
So we have a first by Eleanor and a second by Mike.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. Moving on to number 5, personnel. Approval of employment under waiver for the administrative service credential. We have a staff presentation, please.
Hi, thank you. With board approval, we'll be able to administer a variable term waiver and follow all state requirements, which will allow for the assistant principal to have time to complete their preliminary administrative service credential program at National University, which began in December of 2022.
Move approval.
We have a public comment on that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Me again. Okay, so for this one, I'm glad to see we're able to waive this requirement while Ms. Shadow works on getting those credentials. Having hired many management level people in my career, I can tell you that credentials on paper are not nearly as important as the person themselves. I'm sure we've picked the right person, particularly if Ms. Frazier, who I'm not sure is here anymore, is involved. But I'm sure she does an awesome job, so thank you. But I'm glad that we're able to do this and waive those credentials requirements, at least for now, while she continues. Thank you.
So we have a first with Mike, second with Stacy. Correct? Okay, any questions for staff? No? All those in favor? Oh, actually, it's a no vote needed.
No, we do. We need a vote.
Oh, we do need a vote?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you. Moving on to business. Number 6, it's, we start a public hearing at 7:04 regarding renewed waiver of the certain statutory surplus property requirements. We're commencing this public hearing regarding this district property located at 4991 Macario Drive, commonly known as the former Pacifica Elementary School site. The district is holding this hearing to allow for any public comment on whether to renew its waiver from the State Board of Education of certain statutory surplus property requirements related to the sale of the property. The waiver approved on July 14, 2021 removes certain procedural restrictions regarding how the district disposes of the property, specifically the restrictive bidding requirements. The district successfully identified a purchaser and is currently progressing through the sale process. But given the complexity of the sale requires additional time to finalize the sale. I will open the public hearing. Do we have any public comments for this?
No, we do not. Well, yes, we do. I'm
I said
sorry.
We
Todd
do.
I said we
Madison.
did.
We do.
You could have guessed. So anyway, so I can't say I really understand the need to waive the requirements for bidding on this process. I'm not quite sure of all the details. I'd have to spend more time than I'd like to look into that and figure that out. But given it's already been done, the process is moving ahead, it just seems to make sense to renew that waiver now. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Is that the only one? We'll close the hearing at 7:05. Thank you. Item B, consideration and approval of resolution number 21, 2223, authorizing staff to renew waiver of certain portions of the surplus disposition process for Pacifica. Staff presentation?
Thank you, President Alvarez. In accordance with Ed Code, the board has previously declared Pacifica surplus and offered it for sale to certain public entities. The district submitted a request to the State Board of Education to waive certain portions of the Ed Code requiring the bid auction process, provided that the district comply with other procedural requirements of those sections. The district was able to utilize a request for proposals process rather than a bid auction process, which allowed the district to consider a variety of terms and determining which offer is in the best interest of the district. Given the unique property aspects of Pacifica, the district, in consultation with its broker and legal counsel, determined that a request for proposal is preferable for the sale of Pacifica. The district successfully obtained its waiver for the period of July 15, 2021 through July 13, 2023, and has since entered into a purchase and sale agreement with a buyer. Although significant progress has been made by the district, given the complexity of the sale, including an extended escrow period, the district requires additional time to finalize the sale of the property. Accordingly, the district is asking the board to please consider Resolution Number 21, which authorizes the district to move forward in seeking a renewal of the waiver.
Have public discussion.
Madison.
All right, so this is similar to the last issue. I can't say I know a lot about it. I don't understand the need to waive the requirements in this process, but since it's already been looked at in a public hearing, we've already had our chance to discuss all that. So I would say we might as well go ahead with that process as well. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor of approaching item 6B, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. Item 6C, request board authorization to conduct a process for review of proposals for brokers to assist with monetizing and managing the district's LCFS, lower carbon fuel standards credits, and renewable energy credits. Staff presentation?
Thank you. In 2006, the California Air Resources Board, also known as CARB, identified early action measures to reduce California's greenhouse gas emissions. One such measure involves the production of energy credits that represent a reduction in GHG emissions. The district generates these credits when the district transports students in compressed natural gas, CNG, and electric school buses, and when district personnel utilize electric-powered equipment. Fuel producers and importers are required to purchase these credits to offset the carbon-intensive fuels they supply. After the credits are accrued by the district, they can then be monetized and sold in a market-based compliance program. The district then receives the ongoing revenue once these credits are sold. The board's approval of this item would authorize the district staff to move forward with seeking the services of a commodities broker through the request for proposals process. A final contract would then be brought back to the board for approval. The revenue provides incentive funds to help deploy and operate clean equipment such as school buses, box trucks, carts, solar assets, which also allow the district to attain its environmental, social, and governance ESG goals and chart a path to carbon neutrality.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Public input?
Madison.
So this one's kind of interesting. I assume it has some connection with 4-H, which is the purchase of the electric buses. I'm not sure if it's a direct connection or not. It's kind of interesting that we get a grant to buy the buses and then we get revenue from the offsets on it. So it's actually going to make us a little bit of money on that. It seems like a good thing. Unfortunately, though, it's kind of an example of the layers of complexity that our state has put on our school districts that keep getting added on to the jobs. I mean, as I've said before to you guys, I don't know how you manage all that. You know, there's just a tremendous amount of unnecessary complexity in the process. Now we have yet another thing to take us away from the core task of educating our kids. We have to track when our employees use electric vehicles and equipment so we can monetize that. The money's good, but I don't know if the process is really a beneficial thing. No, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just the way it is. It's a good reason for people perhaps to vote someone else in our elections, send a message to politicians who want to just continue adding pieces of straw to the camel's back and take our schools' focus away from actual education. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item 6C?
I'll make a
board
motion.
authorization?
Second.
Stacy? Thank you. I have a first and a second. I'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I have a 5-0 vote. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, policy development. 7A, approval of revision of board policy 3550, food service child nutrition program.
President Alvarez and Dr. Vitale, are we doing these all at once or are we going through each one?
Do you have comments?
Is it gonna be, do we have?
One on item 7D.
Then why don't you just go ahead and do your,
We have two.
on D?
Yes.
Well, you gotta take them one at a time. Go.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Go through one of them,
I
no
move
problem.
approval of 7A.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. Oh, you want to give a presentation, please? No, you're good?
I read it, but I guess I don't need it because I've had it from the audience this evening.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do the presentation. It's very brief. All three of these, starting with A, have to do with child nutrition services, AB 130, in stating that all kids get a meal. This policy updates also the safety section. So that's what Board Policy 3550, the summary of that policy is.
Okay, so we have a first
Yeah.
from Mike, and we have a first and a second, Stacy.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0. Policy Development B, approval revision to Board Policy 3551, Food Service Operations Cafeteria Fund.
Thank you. OUSD has the need to update Board Policy 3551, Food Service Operations Cafeteria Fund, which was last revised on July 20th, 2021. This policy is being updated to reflect the law AB 130, which requires districts to provide a nutritionally adequate breakfast and lunch to any student who requests a meal regardless of the student's free and/or reduced price meal eligibility. The policy also clarifies additional meals and food that may be sold to adults and students, as well as information regarding contracts and outside services.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a
First,
comment.
Second the motion.
we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Number 7B, thank you. We have a 5-0. Policy Development 7C, approval revision to Board Policy 3553, free and reduced price meals.
Thank you. This policy is being updated to reflect the law AB 130, which requires districts to provide nutritionally adequate breakfast and lunch. The updated policy includes general requirements applicable to federal national school lunch and breakfast programs, as well as state universal meal program. The updated policy also includes revision to the confidentiality/release of records section to permit the use of student information to facilitate the provision of targeted educational services to a student based on the local control and accountability plan, as clarified in the California Department of Education's Management Bulletin.
Thank you. We have a motion for 7C.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I
I'll
have a
second.
first, I have a second. All those in favor for 7C, approval of revisions Board Policy 3553 for reduced meals, please say aye.
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 Thank you. I have a 5-0. 7D, Policy Development, approval revisions Policy 6164.2, Guidance Counseling Services.
Thank you, President Alvarez.
Second.
Board Policy 6164.2, Guidance Counseling Services, has been updated to expand the Board of Education's philosophical statement to include student well-being and reflect Assembly Bill 2508-2022, which urges districts to adopt a comprehensive educational counseling program, and for districts who provide such services to implement a structured and coherent counseling program within a multi-tiered systems of support framework. We're asking that the board adopt these revisions to this board policy.
Thank you.
Madison and Rose.
All right. So as I said earlier on the CTE issue, one of the things I like about this is the fact that it looks like the state is actually, on a whole, encouraging districts to participate in apprenticeship programs, CTE fairs, and things like that. I really think that, I spent a certain amount of time in Doug Creedman's office years ago, talking about connecting out with industry in the area and trying to get apprenticeship programs for our CTE students. I think that would be a great thing for the district to pursue as much as they possibly can, particularly if the state is encouraging it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for 7D, approving a revision Board sorry, Rose, I forgot you.
So, should I speak, or did you guys already decide 5-0? What's the point in us coming up if you guys have already decided what to do? I mean, what is Point.
Address
You
us on
guys
the
vote
issue.
5-0 for everything.
Address us on the issue, please.
All right, I will. I did read over the policy that you want to change. It says engaging with, advocating for, and providing all students with direct services such as individual counseling, group counseling, risk assessment, crisis response, instructional services, including mental health and behavioral, academic, and so on and so forth. Goes down to talk about research-based strategies, try to avoid mistreatment, including mistreatment related to any form of conflict or bullying, improving school climate and student well-being by addressing the mental and behavioral health needs of students during a period of transition, separation, heightened stress, and critical changes. So my question is, what if all of this gender conditioning, CRT, social emotional, diversity, equity, and inclusion crap is what's actually stressing out our students? I've heard from many mothers that have come home with their children very, very upset after these very controversial lessons where they're taught all this gay sex and they're like, am I a lesbian, mom? I'm so confused. And they're actually getting depressed, sad, and upset because of the things that they're learning in school. And so my question to you is, could you guys be the ones that are the catalysts that are causing all this stress in kids? We need to get back to the basics. We've come here month after month telling you how low the scores are in math, in science, in reading. Our kids can't even read, and yet you guys are pushing all this stuff. I mean, we don't need a diversity, equity, inclusion department. We need our kids to just be able to read, write, and do math, basic math. And so, yeah, I don't think we should be counseling. We shouldn't be having, food pantry and optometry and all these other things in school. This is not like a one-stop shop for kids. These are schools, education hubs where kids should be learning what they need to graduate and get a job and compete in a global society without all this indoctrination stuff.
A motion to approve revision.
I want to make a motion to approve.
First.
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor for 7D, approve revision board policy 6164.2, please say aye.
Aye.
We will move forward to public comment for non-agenda items. The board.
No, keep going.
The Board of Education is happy to receive comments about items and issues on tonight's agenda, as well as topics within board's jurisdiction and do not appear on the agenda. Generally, each person may speak up for up to 3 minutes. However, the total time for public input may be limited to 20 minutes per item or topic. While the total time per speaker for a given topic may be slightly reduced in certain circumstances, all persons wishing to address the board will have a meaningful opportunity to do so during this meeting. 2, an individual may only turn in one off-agenda public comment card per board meeting. In addition, no one individual may give their time to anyone else for the purpose of extending their public comment time. 3, open meeting laws and fairness to other residents who may have an interest in your topic prohibit the board from taking action or engaging in extended discussion of your concerns. Will you please call the first?
We have 11 comments. The first person is Sandra Martinez, and after her will be Todd Madison.
Hello, board, supervisors, staff. My name is Dr. Martinez, and today I'm going to share my concerns for children regarding the COVID genetic vaccine, as the requirement will be coming soon. It will probably be beginning in July or perhaps next fall. Before you inject your child with the COVID vaccine, a decision that is irreversible, know the scientific facts about this genetic vaccine. There are 3 issues the school board and parents need to understand. The first is that a viral gene will be injected into your child's cells. This gene forces your child's body to make toxic spike proteins. These proteins often cause permanent damage in children's critical organs, including the brain and nervous system, their heart, blood vessels, including blood clots, their reproductive system, and this vaccine can trigger fundamental changes to their immune system. The most alarming point about this is that once the damages have occurred, they are irreversible. You can't fix the lesions in the brain. You can't repair heart tissue that's scarred. You can't repair a genetically reset immune system. And this vaccine can cause reproductive damage that could affect future generations of your family. The second thing you need to know about this is the fact that this new technology has not been adequately tested. We need at least 5 years of testing research before we can understand the risks. Harms and risks from new medications often become revealed many years later, and you all should know that, right? Dr. Paul Offit, an FDA committee member, said, and I quote, "As more and more children is vaccinated, we'll learn more." The 2-dose data was surprisingly poor, but he approved it anyways. Much of the trial data was manipulated to create the impression of a positive result. Dr. Offit is now backpedaling on his views of injecting children with this genetic with this genetic vaccine as the information is becoming more public. So, ask yourself if you want your children to be part of the most radical medical experiment in human history. One final point. The reason they're giving you to vaccinate your child is false. Children represent no danger to their parents or grandparents. It's actually the opposite. Their immunity after getting COVID is critical to save your family, if not the world, from this disease. In summary, there is no benefit for your children or your family to be vaccinating your child against the small risks of this virus, given the known health risks of the vaccine that, as a parent, you and your children may have to live with for the rest of their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. So I've said a lot tonight. I've said a lot of positive things. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but I've said a lot of positive things. I get slammed somewhat frequently for being a little bit negative, but I think that's just the nature of getting up and speaking. It's kind of a refreshing experience to actually speak on everything and see all the good things that are happening. But on the other side of it, here we are again speaking at the back of the agenda. Once again, I have to note that despite what we hear about the value of public comment to our board, once again, nothing has been done to actually act on that. All words, no action. Besides taking action in a way that demonstrates our board truly values input from parents and the community is not really something we can expect because, speaking of action, I've now requested clarification on the process for putting up a presentation during public comment from our district 8 times without a response. This is something you all know I've done many times in the past. Mike has been seeing them since 2014, a few times a year. I'm sure it's a good break. But some of you may have noticed I've spoken on almost every item on the agenda tonight. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So since my slide presentations tend to be about 6 to 8 slides, I figured I'd have to speak 6,000 to 8,000 words. I couldn't get that though. I ended up counting them with Word, and I think I got about 1,500, maybe 2,000 with the ad libs. I'd likely have to continue this with the next meeting, at least until the board decides to direct the superintendent to provide a way for parents to do what they allow the union representatives to do and provide presentations during their talks. So that is what I'm looking for. The union presentations appear to have no difficulties being put on screen. We know that if what our board values and it's not input from parents. I've provided Google slide links before for presentations. It's not rocket science. Again, it's evidenced by the fact that this comment is being made at the very end of the meeting, not only inconveniencing parents who want to provide input without sitting through the entire meeting, but placed in a position in the meeting where whatever is said can have no influence on the meeting itself, and of course deliberately put in a position to discourage participation. So that needs to change. Unlike, of course, the place in the agenda where union input is presented, which is near the beginning. So next up, I'm sure at some future meeting, we'll see more on what the district values with the inevitable Me Too raise for district administrators. Median total compensation, $166,798 in 2021. What we won't see is any initiative to use that money to decrease class sizes, improve instructional materials, raise starting teacher pay, or provide teachers with classroom discretionary funds, something I'm sure none of our teachers would like to see, or maybe all of them would. And when the inevitable budget declines happen, we'll hear about how they don't get enough money from the state. Thank you.
Our next two speakers will be Ruth Ramirez and Graham Frazier.
Members of the OUSD School Board, Superintendent Vitale, and all those that are watching. I am here today for those who have no voice, for those who do not read, write, or speak English. My name is Ruth Ramirez, and I have 2 children and 7 nieces and nephews who are in the Oceanside Unified School District, varying from 2nd grade to 12th grade, and 1 grandson that will start TK next year. I am disgusted and shocked at the books available to our children and youth in the school libraries. You speak of education being the foundation for our children's future and how they should feel safe at all times at school. Yet you are all exploiting our children's mental capacity. You are the ones robbing our children of their innocence. So I ask you all, do you have any children, grandchildren, nieces, or nephews? Have you ever set foot or looked at any of the books available to our children that you sign off on? And if you are aware, do you then have no morality? Because of the complaints we've heard from parents, employees, students, and community, we are doing a self-organized effort to audit library books in Oceanside schools. Books that contain explicit, obscene sexual activity, profanity, graphic pornography, etc., do not belong in K-12 schools. We will hold you accountable to get these books out of the hands of our children and youth. I ask you to direct Superintendent Vitale to remove these books that are not age appropriate. It is right and just and your elected duty to defend the innocence of our children and not exploit them. These books are labeled for adults and young adults. That does not mean teenagers and children. We, the taxpayers who provide your salaries, do not pay you as sex predictors or groomers to our children and youth, but as academic education professionals. So I close with this statement. We will no longer have our voices silenced. We will no longer stand by and watch you all take part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead we shall expose you. If you are unaware of the books that I speak of, then I have copies for you guys to study, and I'm more than welcome to give them to you.
Mr. Frazier, Graham Frazier. You submitted 2 public comment cards. You're only able to speak for 3 minutes. So you will have to combine your comments on your.
I'll wait till next time. The gentleman at the front said it was okay for me to have 2 because the first one is dealing with the agenda itself versus anyway, whatever you say is that's what's gonna work tonight. Okay, I'm supporting Ruth in this discussion of inappropriate books in your school library. I've had the opportunity to review Gender Queer and Crank. And as Ruth said, the Agenda Queer there's 3 copies, I understand, in the Oceanside and the Oceanside High School. It's right in the front. It says an adult graphic novel for adults. Why are adult books in high school libraries? The summary concerns are this book contains obscene sexual activities and sexual nudity, alternative gender ideologies, and profanity. Is that suitable for our children? I don't think so. In fact, I could read certain aspects from the book itself. First of all, though, I'd like to say that no doubt you're aware that the executive or judgment part of the brain of youngsters, called the frontal precortex, is not fully developed until maybe mid-30s or mid-20s or 30s. So to indoctrinate is so easy to indoctrinate children at this level, than to teach them that this stuff is acceptable is absolutely apprehensible. I'm going to take the opportunity to hand out so you can understand what I'm talking about. But first of all, I'd like to show you some diagrams. This is one of the diagrams. You can see it. I hope the TV can see it. There's one there with a male-on-male sexual act, right? It's in the book. There's a female-on-male. Okay, that's in the book. All right? So you can, I've got so that you can each take this home to your family and show them what you are teaching our children. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm ashamed of all of you. I'm not going to read anything from it because it just absolutely sickens me. Have I got any time left? I might just read one. One of the illustrations, this is on page 93. One of the illustrations at the top of this page depicts a boy waist with a bulge in his shorts. The text reads, "I'm dreaming about have a massive painful boner." I'm sorry if I offended you, but I was totally offended.
And
Richard Newton. Mr. Newton.
Which school?
Members of the board and the public, I would like to underscore the folly and poor stewardship of board policies that disproportionately focus on certain groups due to their gender identity, sexual preferences, or ethnicity. Not only does such focus take time and study away from other more pragmatic topics, but such policies succumb to the strategy of the progressive left to play groups off one another to strengthen the left's own political power and weaken America. The goal should be that all become economically prosperous. That accomplished, people should then be left alone to their own personal preferences. That is a free and prosperous society, and that is an acceptable goal of public schools. It is not the role of government to micromanage preferences, lifestyles, or acceptance of such. Provide students with the practical skills, knowledge, and analytical thought processes needed for them to think for themselves. Studying the struggles or grievances of particular outlier groups is a poor use of resources. Simply put, allocating, say, 10% of resources on a group that comprises 1% of the school body or society misallocates resources that could be better spent improving all students, including students from those outlier groups. It should be criminal that schools do not teach financial literacy. Teaching financial literacy to students will assist them to become prosperous and comfortable citizens in the future. Making that a required topic of study helps all students achieve a better life. I was fortunate enough to have read the book Common Sense by Art Williams while in my early 20s. It made a huge difference in my life and helped me achieve financial independence, even though I grew up in a lower middle class environment. Rewritten in the early 2000s as the book How Money Works by the company Primerica, it provides a roadmap to financial success and freedom. The material in this book should be made a required course for all students. I can summarize the book in only a few short sentences, though I do not give it the justice it deserves. Colloquially, to succeed, you have to become an investor. Before you can become an investor, you have to become a saver. To become a saver, you have to spend less than you make. To spend less than you make, you have to defer immediate wants. I would also add that one must stay out of trouble with the law and work hard to secure a job that provides an adequate income to live above the subsistence level. It really is that simple. Blaming others is not required. Spend less than you make, learn to invest wisely, and compound growth takes care of the rest. But to achieve all of this, an individual must understand the roadmap, defer immediate gratifications, and stay out of trouble. In other words, one must have the goal-oriented conservative values of personal discipline and respect for society, its institutions, and its laws. America faces a rise in poverty not due to discrimination, but due to a lack of conservative values. Schools are negligent for not teaching financial literacy while wasting resources on snivel fests from the left. By doing so, schools contribute to America's economic poverty. Please reject the obsessive focuses on grievances and instead allocate those resources to teach financial literacy. Expose students to the roadmap of financial independence, and you will have given them the greatest gift any teacher can give a student. Thank you.
What's going on, guys? How we doing? All right, so thank you for this time. My comment is going to be on the library books. I would like to start this off by recognizing that as a parent, I don't expect all of y'all to read every 10,000 plus books there is in the library. However, I do expect there to be some oversight guided by policy. I reviewed the book titled Crank, the same one that Graham spoke on, by Ellen Hopkins. This book contains implicit sexual activities, sexual battery, profanity, and drug abuse. Here's just one example, which is on page 163 of the book. It says, passion rose up in my heart and a bit farther south. The monster-fueled inferno built thigh to belly button. Adam's mouth moved lower inch by trembling inch. I was ready to do it, oh so, right that very instant. If that bothers you, like that seems like 50 Shades of Grey, not like high school stuff. If that bothers you, then there should be action on it. I don't want my teenage daughters. If it's like on Netflix, Hulu, things like that. I feel like we should do a policy that's based upon something like that reflects on there. There's plenty of groups out there that would be more than willing to advocate for this. I know we have a team of parents here that will gladly sit there on our own free time, volunteer, unpaid, pro bono, to review these books, to help you, team up with you, collaborate with you, to help in this policy, to help our students. It's like, it makes me think like those acts aren't allowed in school, right? As educators, if you saw the students doing that, you would probably be okay. Well, hey there, Susie. Hey there, Johnny. Hey there, whomever. Let's go see the principal. If they're not allowed to act like that in the schools, why should those books be? Why should they be able to read about it? And that's basically all I got to say about that. On other comments, hey, I'm with Todd. Let's move these public presentations to the beginning. All right, let's allow public presentations. And one last note, Mike, Ms. Blessing, you haven't had any report for months. What are you doing up there? Can you do your job and represent these people? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Segura and Susan Custer.
So this is a book that is peddled to our kids called All Boys Aren't Blue. I'd like to read to you. It says, by now we were both touching each other. I tried my best not to enjoy it because you were my cousin. We were crossing a line that families should never cross, but it felt so right for a boy who always felt that he was wrong. And it goes on to say, you told me to take off my pajama pants, which I did. You then took off your shorts, followed by your boxers. There you stood in front of me fully erect and said, taste it. At first, I laughed and refused, but then you said, come on, Matt, taste it. This is what other boys like us do when we like each other. I finally listened to you. The whole time I knew it was wrong, not because I was having sexual intercourse with a guy, but that you were my family. Then you got down on your knees and told me to close my eyes. That's when you began oral sex on me as well. Then it goes on to say, by that time I was using a dating app online called Black Gay Chat. Goes further to say, as an avid porn watcher, the only thing I knew about anal sex previously was that it was painful, or at least played up as much on the cameras. Nervous and drunk, I listened and got on my stomach. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I had ever felt in my life. He then added more lube and tried again, which felt much better, but not by much. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. I can't say that I didn't enjoy it because I did, but it was painful for sure. In those few minutes, though, I can say that he was gentle. His aim wasn't to hurt me, and my aim was for him to be pleasured too. He didn't last long inside of me, thankfully. He gave me a kiss before he pulled out. I didn't stay long, nor did I masturbate after. I was in a state of shock. I just wanted to get back home. I was in pain for nearly 3 weeks following that encounter and too afraid to go to the doctor for help because I would have had to tell them I had been having anal sex. So like most other trauma in my life, I sucked it up and dealt with the pain until my body healed. Practice makes perfect. I eventually got a lot of practice. When I say I'm not blue, I'm referring to the blue on the police uniform my father wore. How I've watched too many in the same blue harm black and brown people. I know for myself that although I respect my father with all my heart, it is my duty to fight against how that institution has harmed us. So basically, with this book, you have stolen our children's innocence. You violated them psychologically and emotionally, raped them. You've taught them how to harm themselves. You've taught them how to go on gay dating apps. You've also showed them that they're victims, that black children are victims. And these are the profanity words that are peddled to our kids. As parents, this is garbage.
Thank you.
No,
Next person,
thank
please.
you. Do your job or resign. Protect our kids.
Allison, Emily Richmond, and then Patrick Higuera.
So I come up here with Love for All, and this is not about gender. This is about explicit pornographic materials in our schools. I am a parent of students in the district, and I am really upset, as you can see, of these findings. Just as what Rose just spoke of is just unbelievable. I'd like you to see that this book here is a book that came via a student who was obviously stricken by the sexual content and explicit graphic sexual information, so much so they wanted to expose the school district for having pornographic content in ebooks in our high school libraries. So in page 166, it speaks of oral sex. Oral sex is when you put your mouth on your partner's genitals. For guys, it's called fellatio or giving him a blowjob. For girls, it's called cunnilingus, or I don't even know how to pronounce that, or going down on her. There's no one way for oral because everyone likes something different. Using your tongue is usually a good thing. Teeth, not so much. The best person to give you feedback is your partner. Using a condom with guys or a dental dam with girls during oral sex helps prevent the transmission of STDs. Anal sex, any kind of penetrating sexual activity involving the anus is typically called anal sex. This can involve penetration with the penis, fingers, or a sex toy. STDs, it keeps saying STIs, but STDs. such as HIV and hepatitis B, spread more easily through anal sex than via oral sex or rubbing. Be sure to always use a condom and plenty of lubricant when engaging in any kind of anal penetration, as the anus does not lubricate. And it also says, see more on page 178, which on page 178, it goes on to say, let's see here. In Kathy's words, Kathy's one-night stand. And then it talks about Kathy's little one-night stand. This is horrible, guys. Come on. Dr. Vitale, get these off. Not okay for 14-year-olds. And really hard to read all that. Terrible, terrible. This is grooming, which leads to sexual exploitation of our children.
These are just a couple of books that are in your libraries at your schools. Some of the high schools, and even some of the books, so far we didn't mention one, but we will next time, that are in our middle schools, that are graphic, that, and other books like these, like you've just heard, of course, contain sexual activity, sexual nudity, graphic sexual content, profanity, derogatory terms, alcohol and drug use, also controversial race and social commentary, etc. The Ed Code 1312.2 complaints concerning instructional materials include library books and the library media. Many of these books show that they do not belong in our schools. You are not those kind of educators. Are you groomers? That's what they're calling people now that have materials that is available to children. They call them groomers. I look at you as educational professionals. So these books need to be removed. I asked the superintendent to read these books, to understand and to look at them and say, they say they are for adults and young adults. It does not say they're for teenagers. We'd like you to look at them, any of you look at them, and read them. Read the couple of you have boys, read them to your boys. See how that works. And as you know, students have access to all this stuff. They do. But why from our library books? Why for our community? Not only that is the taxpayers' money. How is this going to come across? You're spending our money, our money for books like this. I looked at the other books in the library through Destiny. We have wonderful books in our school libraries. And at this time, I won't read about this. So I want to be sure that you understand where we're coming from. We're coming from protecting the children. Again, we've had a couple of parents, and we've had parents, we've had students, we'd have school employees and community that have asked us to come before you, and many of them won't or can't come before you, so we are. At this point, I'd like to thank the parents, the students, and the district employees and community for their support and the information that we have received from them. Thank you.
Man, you guys are disgusting. You really are. It's pretty sad. So, we're going to go back a little bit there, Vitali. So you came on the board, I believe it was, you took over on June 30th of 2018. And 2017, 2018, this is from caaspp.edsource.org. Level 4, which is well-developed. This is English language proficiency for students' proficiency. Level 4, well-developed, we're at 27.58%, which is still pretty low. Level 1 is minimal development. We're at 12.23%. Let's skip all the way down to 2022. As you're in charge, you're in charge, you're the head, you're the head jefe. Level 4, well-developed, we went from 27.58 student proficiency to 10.32. That's all on you, fool. Level 1, minimal development. We went from 12.23% to 16.67%. So that's a raise we don't want. That's all on your shoulders. You've gotten awards for, Equity Champion and 2023 Lighthouse Award. I think you're up for that or something like that. Where's your award for getting the grades up? How about you there? What are you, Director of Student Services? What about you? What are you doing? You guys remember a little guy coming up in June 28th of 2022? Do you remember that little gentleman who came up here? You guys don't remember his name, do you? His name was Anthony Waquez, and he was a Chaldean Latino. On your bio there, buddy, it says, Director of Student Services, you develop programs that support and provide resources for students and families facing challenges. How did that help him? Getting broken bones. How did that help him? It says you do basic needs and support. They needed basic needs. How come you didn't help them? OUSD, the goal is to provide our diverse community of students with support needed to attain academic success, experience self-confidence in their sense of belonging, and build a foundation of compassion. Not one of you said you were sorry to that little boy. Not one of you. And I've asked you numerous times there, old guy, to protect the kids. You've not lifted one finger. You can't even go to a thing to support the kids. You just stay at home and probably drink beer in your boxers or something. I don't know what you do, but you're just a waste. I don't know what you do, The Bible says that our time is but a vapor. That's your life. That's your life. You know what? Do something about it and fix it. You think you can do that there? Director of Students? Do something.
We're done? Oh, thank you.
Oh, I called you. I
didn't hear you. We couldn't hear you back there. Sorry about that. Okay, good evening. I wanted to talk about the book Fun Home, which is another book, of course, in the library. It is an adult graphic novel, and it is in Oceanside High School Library. I believe you're 14 when you start high school, is that correct? Can anyone tell me? 14. Okay, so right on the very front of this book, it has a content warning. The warning says, you are about to access material that may contain content of an adult nature. These files may include pictures and materials that some viewers may find offensive. If you are under the age of 18, please, wait a minute. If you are under the age of 18, or if you find the material objectionable, it is illegal for you to view these materials. Please exit now. If you are under the age of 18, it is illegal for you to view these materials. I ask why. Now, if I was to go out and buy a 16-year-old beer, I could get arrested, correct? So why, I ask, are you allowed to have material in the library for a child that's under 18? Most, at least half of all kids have graduated high school by the time they're 18. So this and we just established that at 14 you enter high school. So clearly they should not be reading these books. So just a few excerpts from these books. Would an ideal husband and father have sex with teenage boys? I'm sure some of you are fathers and husbands, and I hope you think of yourselves as ideal. So again, the excerpt on page 17 is, would an ideal husband and father have sex with teenage boys? Later, my mother would learn that Dad and his friends had been lovers. Do you want your wives finding that out later. My father called after receiving some sort of information from this person. He seemed strangely pleased to think I was having some kind of orgy. Everyone should experiment. It's healthy. Is that what you tell your children? Especially in high school? And then now we have this. Feminism is the theory. Lesbianism is the practice. So when I look up feminism here, hopefully it's still here. Don't want to waste my time. Okay, feminism is
Thank you, Susan.
the belief and aim that women should have the same rights as
At
men.
this point, I'd like to
It's not
go through and we would
lesbianism.
like to adjourn this meeting.
Excuse me. What was the name of the book?
Fun Home.
Fun Home.
Fun Home.
It was on the list. Fun Home.
I don't have the paper.
Meeting adjourned at 7:57. Thank you.